Hello, hello, this is Chris Baki from Games Previewed, and it's time to take a look at Panjango. Okay, so this is Panjango. This is a game for 2 or more players, and the focus of this game is really a kid's educational game. It's all about the mysterious world of work, and it kind of takes on almost a cranium-like sort of game in that you've got these different categories you're trying to play with. On your turn, you'll flick the spinner, as you'll see in this GIF here. The spinner will land on one of 4 categories: the question, the action, the team play, or the all play. Whatever the spinner lands on, you pick up that kind of card and you do it. So let's look at one of these question cards here. This is just an example card here for obvious reasons, but it says, which of the following tasks would you be least likely to do as an air traffic controller? A, carry out safety checks on aircraft. B, give instructions to pilots. C, track aircraft positions using radar. And so someone would ask the question, and the kid would try to answer the question, and if they get it right, the correct answer here is carry out safety checks on aircraft. If they get it right, they get the card. Now, as I was looking at these questions, I have to confess, some of these questions don't really seem like they're really suitable for the 8 and up category. And I'll just show one example, and I'll hide the answer with my finger here. The science showdown. As a jeweler, you'll work with a variety of precious metals. Which 2 properties of gold make it a good choice in making your jewelry? If you knew this as an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old kid, kudos. As an adult, I'm not sure I could answer this without looking at the answer. The answer, in case you're curious, is it's unreactive, it's got a high melting temperature, it's shiny, it's malleable, it's ductile, and it's rare/valuable. Each type of card has a few different styles of games. So for the action deck, there's acting out, there's guess the job, there's time to mime, there's object hunt, and there's unspeakable. Unspeakable is a little bit like taboo, basically. It's the same way with the all-play games. You've got games like the first to fold. Each player should take a turn to name a job that would work in a shop, just as one example. You've got the tools of the trade. You've got, basically, you're just going back and forth between the players until one of them can't name something. Word association, same thing. I'm trying to think of a word. A rat race. This one's kind of interesting. You're all candidates at a job interview explaining why you'd be best suited to be this particular job, so on. And then letter loop. Each person takes a turn to name a job that begins with a certain letter. Again, these are all games that are fairly common. You've heard of games kind of like these. These are fairly simple. Nothing really innovative here, except that it's really focused on kids and work. For the team play, basically everyone's working together as a team to solve the problems. Some of the cards here look like the tool twister. Arrange the bodies to make a certain shape. So this is a really physical sort of game. Set the scene, create the scene of a construction project, kind of an improv sort of thing. The game does come with a little sand timer, by the way. This is not their sand timer, this is my sand timer, but it does come with one. This one is the lineup game, the lineups game. Each player should choose a random job and then make a lineup. Name game, marine biologists, impacting pollution, okay. And then disaster plan, name 2 professionals that could be useful in rebuilding the bridge. So yeah, different games, at least these require everyone to work together. So these consequence cards are hidden throughout the various decks, and basically if you draw one of these, you'll spin the spinner another time to see if you win a card or if you lose a card. And the notion here is to show, some of the consequences that happen, kind of a cause and effect thing. I don't really think these add a lot to gameplay. I think just randomly getting a card or having a card taken away from you isn't that awesome as far as gameplay goes, but it does show it's thematically correct in showing kids about work what happens if you do something. So this is the main game that they're kickstarting. The other main game that they have going on here is a game called Panjango Trumps. And these trump cards look a little bit like this. These are larger cards. And basically they show a lot of different statistics about a given job, along with an interesting little description about the job itself. You've got the beauty therapist, you've got the mechanic, you've got the metal worker, you've got the town planner and the architect, a lot of different jobs. Each one of them is looking at the study/training, a two-digit number for the physical effort, the brain power, the social good, the average salary, and I like the robot risk, the chance that your job might be outsourced or whatever to a robot. In the current version of the Kickstarter and the rules, it doesn't really explain how exactly you play with this. My understanding is that there's a game called Top Trumps out there. As an American, I've not played that game before, but the notion that you might take these numbers and try to use them as a trump sort of card is certainly a fun way to play. If you know how to play a game called Trumps or Top Trumps, you might be listening to this and going, "Good night, Chris, where are you from? Or did you grow up in a cave or something?" And the answer is no, I did not grow up in a cave. I just never played a game called Trumps before. So there. Okay, so I like the notion of the game. I think it's interesting. I think it's a really good theme. I don't think I've heard a lot of people talk about the world of work from a kid's perspective. You know, it can be a very mysterious world. It can be the sort of thing where, as a kid, you're kind of just hearing these bits and pieces about a job from their parents or school or whatever. So a game like this really gives the kids a chance to experience the world of work in a way that they wouldn't normally. One thing I like about it is that it's nice and compact. It can be very casual. The pack of cards itself is really small, so if you didn't want to play with the spinner, you just let people play with the kind of cards that they like. That makes things a little bit easier and easier to pack up and whatever. The spinner does add some randomness to it, of course, so you get people drawing different kinds of cards that way. This is really localized for British English and the British English world. The currency uses the Great British Pound, uses the British English spelling, so Americans, you might find that a little bit jarring, thinking about the conversion rate from Great British Pounds or whatever. Kids probably won't notice and they probably won't care. They just see, "Oh, that's a lot of money," and so they go from there. If I were playing this with kids, I would probably just take the consequence cards out altogether. They kind of distract from the main facet of the game. They do have a nice educational value for showing the cause and effect of something, but personally, from a game perspective, I would probably take those out. The Trumps game looks like a lot of fun. It could be a really interesting way of comparing and contrasting different jobs. You could use these cards in a lot of different ways in an educational or a classroom setting. So for that, I would really recommend this as an educational game. As something I would bring to a game night? No, not so much. But that isn't the focus of this game. This has been Chris Bakke from Games Preview. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe button down there. Go click it. See you later.